So testing is actually it's I gotta be honest here. I am a little bit lazy in testing. I shouldn't be. Actually, most of the developers I know are really lazy in testing, which they shouldn't be. But the problem really is, so testing is you can either test your models, your logic, your widgets, or you can write integration tests, which means you can simulate a flow which the user goes, like user clicks there, then the application does this and this. And this is really important, like really, really important. The problem really is most of the time you simply, I oftentimes simply just don't have the time for it. So I've got like 100 features I have to implement. And writing those features takes quite some time. And then also writing the tests for it is like really, really, it consumes us quite some time, because I know there's this test-driven approach that you firstly write your tests and then you write the components. And I really like this one if you have the time for it. If you have a client which says, hey, write for everything tests, awesome, do it, really do it. It's like, it will save you in the long run a lot of time. You simply just need the time in advance. And if you, for example, if you're doing a freelancing job, I really, it's really important for you to remember, if you're talking to a client, to not only tell him, okay, I can write this app within 1 week. You should also tell the client, I can write you this app within 1 week. But if you really want to have a maintainable app, which is tested, and if you want to, and which is working even without me, and some other developers are able to do my job afterwards, you should also recommend him testing, that you implement the testing structure for him. Because then, firstly, you will not be the sole developer for this project anymore. And it's important to always have this in mind. What happens if you're not working on the project anymore? And the client knows he has a really stable product, because every time there are any changes from another developer, the other developer can run the tests. He can see, did I break anything? And if he didn't, then the change should actually be good. So yeah, in case you want to do some freelancing sooner or later, you should always keep this in mind. And if you talk to clients, you can say, hey, 1 week, but with testing, which will make your app way more maintainable, way stable, more stable. You should also discuss within the testing structure if they want it. Some don't want it. It's their problem, not mine in this case. But if they want it, and they will be happy most of the time if you recommend this, then you should do this, definitely. Packages. So in Flutter currently, for mobile and for specifically for mobile, there are like a lot of packages out there. And the awesome thing here is, this is what I'm sometimes guilty of. I sometimes write widgets which are already supported by packages, even better supported than I wrote them. This doesn't mean you always should use packages, but if it's really a complex widget, you would have to invest like 1 week for this. Simply just firstly check the packages, see if the widget has already been implemented, and and use this package in the best case. And this is really important. Always look if the packages are being maintained. There are some packages which are really important actually, and which are not currently maintained. And if it's really important, this package, what I do most of the time is I fork them and I update them accordingly. And then I simply just do a pull request, and I hope that the owner will sooner or later merge my pull request within the package, so everyone can use my change. And yeah, if you're not able to do so, if you're not able to fork this package and maintain it yourself and do some pull requests so everyone can profit from this, you should definitely not use it. So from my experience, if you rely on deprecated code, the entire code base can become unstable. And yeah, so my advice to you is use packages, but use them wisely. It can be sometimes a little bit bad. All right, so debugging, I already talked about this. A lot of people get this wrong. I also got it wrong with Android Studio at the beginning. And it's actually kind of easy to debug the app. If you do it the right way, you have 2 options in Android Studio. You can click on the run button, which is this play icon. or you can click on the debug button. It's like a, I don't know an English name for this, but it's like an insect. It looks like an insect, which you can click on. And if you run the debug button, you will be able to set breakpoints. And those breakpoints, what they actually do is they allow you to stop the code at a specific point. And then this is not a really cool thing. All the code which has run up to this point will be shown to you, and the results of this will be shown to you. So for example, if you, before this point, initialize some kind of variables, it will show to you, okay, this variable has currently this value, this variable has currently this value. And the cool thing here about this is you will understand really fast what is going on wrong in your code, because you know the values of the variables, and you know which values they should have. So yeah, debugging is actually really important. You can also debug your entire code with print statements. I did it also at the beginning, but it will be kind of time consuming after some time. All right, so this is what you should learn about Flutter. And let's talk a little bit about the current opportunities for the Flutter developers. So I already discussed this at the beginning. The job market is increasing. In the US, it's currently 110K, 110,000 on average for Flutter developers. In Europe, it's around 60 to 70K. It really depends here on your seniority, as you may call it, experience level. I gotta be honest, I have no idea what the current average salary within Pakistan the Flutter developer have, because I was trying to find it out, but I was not able to read Pakistani, or the language you're talking in. I'm not entirely sure if it's Pakistani, but yeah, I was not able to understand it probably, and the translation also did not a good job in it. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the opportunities are within Pakistan, but I suppose because it is already growing within worldwide, I suppose within your country, there should be also a fine salary. This is really important now to understand, because a lot of people are saying this, and it's not really right. They're saying the salary is like so high, and there needs to be a differentiation, because most of the company are actually searching for people who have experience in Flutter, who are not junior developer. And this is really the difficult part for Flutter developers to get into this business, to find a company who is willing to hire them as juniors and to pay them a salary. And once they learned their tools, and once they become more experienced, then the demand is like really high, and your salary possibility is really high. But at the beginning, it can be a little bit difficult. I think this is not only with Flutter, this is in general. So in general, if you are new within the programming scene, it's not like if you're a doctor, you will always have a working place. If you're a developer and you're just starting out, you will have to put in the extra effort to firstly become hired by a good company, and secondly, to also learn while you are working in this company, to learn after your work hours, to become a better developer. And once you are this better developer, it's actually kind of easy to get new jobs. But yeah, you need the starting point to, you need this experience. And this is a little bit difficult. A lot of people say like Flutter is totally in demand and you will 100% get a job, but I can promise you that you will have to show some kind of experience. And you can do this either by being hired, or you can do this by writing your own apps, and writing those apps and publishing them. So the client is able to see them and is able to touch them. Okay, so this guy wrote now 2 apps, which are really awesome. The design is flawlessly, logic is working. Why should I not hire him? So yeah, this is most of the time how clients actually think. So if you don't want to work for anyone, if you want to work for you by yourself, write your own apps and publish them. So you have a portfolio and one important thing here is write your own apps, publish them, and maintain them. Because I know quite some developer who wrote the app, published them, and they were not working actually. And this is a really bad sign. So if your app is not working, like, you will have difficulties getting the jobs. Yeah, this as a little tip from my side. How to become a better developer. I already mentioned this a little bit. I think this is also one of the last. Yeah, I think I don't have a lot of time anymore. So I try to keep this a little bit shorter. Understand the concepts, don't just memorize it. And this is a general rule in programming. Like I know so many people who try to memorize this stuff, and I don't get it. Like programming is really all about understanding. You can always look it up. You can always look up if you like. I look all of the time stuff up. Like I don't memorize it, and the more you use it, the faster you will memorize it actually. But if you only try to memorize stuff, you will not understand it. You will not be able to use it, because programming is really putting logic together in their components. And to put logic together, you need to understand this kind of logic. You don't only write blindly this code down. And this is actually one of the main reasons why actually we get like huge ugly code bases, because people just memorize it and write it down, and they don't think about the consequences. What is happening then? So yeah, my really advice is it doesn't matter which framework, but really try to understand the concept, and you can understand it by practicing it most of the time. Don't only memorize it, because then you will not learn it. So learn the best practices. Every framework So this is in general, learn the best practices, because it's not only Flutter related, because for example, OOP, you should learn the principles of OOP. You should learn the principles of functional programming, and you should understand them. And the reason why it's good is actually you can use this knowledge within every language, not only within Flutter, or not only within Android. You can use it within C++. OOP, you cannot use it within C, but this is one of the only platforms. Maybe assembly code as well. But yeah, you should learn it and you should understand it so you can use it accordingly. And also learn the best practices for the specific framework. Like Flutter has its own best practices. React Native has its own best practices. Android and iOS, they all have their best practices. Try to understand why they are best practices. They're not only best practices because some weird guy told you so. It's because a lot of people have learned them the hard way and did it the wrong way until they found out this is not how you should do it. There's a better approach for this. So learn them, because you only can build, you build on the shoulders of giants who did the mistakes for you. So yeah, learn them and don't be lazy about this, because this is really most of the time the reason why code is bad. Don't give up halfway your studies, and this is what I saw. What I'm seeing actually quite often. I'm also guilty of it sometimes. If I start learning new stuff, for example, new package, and because I want to change it and I want to make it better, and then halfway I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore because I have like so many other stuff to do, and then I don't do it actually, and then you actually. Most of the time, you nearly have it. Like you have to invest like 20 hours more than you have it. And then you're too lazy too, and then you're losing out on really a lot of opportunities if you're working like this. And this is what I actually stopped doing. So if I start learning about a package, if I start learning about a new language, most of the time do it. Currently a little bit slower because I'm pretty packed in with the projects, but the faster I get it done, the happier I am most of the time. This is important now, because if you want to become a programmer, you should keep your body and mind sharp. And what I mean with this, you should not only sit before your desktop. You should definitely do some kind of exercise, or maybe even go for a walk. But the problem really is most of the time, like you work 5 hours. This is your prime time, 5 hours. And all of the rest of the time, your mind is not really that sharp. And because it has to process all of the different tasks you have to do. And most of the time, if I really have a really, really difficult problem, I simply just look at the problem, I look at the possible solutions. And if I don't get a solution, I simply just do another task, and I do my sport, I do some sport, go for a walk, etc. Because then your mind, in the background of your mind, it is able to process all of the information you have, and then you are most of the time find solutions which you never would have found if you simply just sit all of the time before your computer. So that was a really big problem I had one time with a video player, and I had no idea how to solve this problem. And I simply just said, okay, it's fine. I'll do something else. I go to sport, go for a walk, etc. And then I found the solution actually while I was doing the sport, because yeah, my mind was simply just processing all of the data I had, and this is most of the time how I solve difficult problems by simply just doing something else and letting my mind work in the background. And this is actually how you should do it also most of the time. Sometimes you simply just have to put in the effort and program it, but sometimes if it's really difficult, the problem, don't get hang up on it. I did so many overnight shifts and I didn't produce the results I wanted to produce. Don't do this. Stay away from the desktop maybe some minutes and simply just let it pass through, and maybe then you will find the solution. This is most of the time how it works. And lastly, this is I lost quite some time, and I'm not saying like you have to, but it's really great to have a good mentor. And the reason for this one to have a good mentor is he will help you in situations where you will have no clue about, and he will be able to explain to you why you should do it the way you should, how he proposes to do. And a mentor is not like someone who will tell you all of the time the solutions. This is not a task of a mentor, but the task of a mentor is to help you guide it to the right direction. And I lost so much time not having at the beginning a mentor who is able to tell me what to do correctly. And I did a lot of stuff wrong. So if you're fortunate enough to have one or to know someone who's a lot more experienced, you don't have to ask, do you want to be my mentor? You simply just should talk to them more often and ask them about their opinion. This is what I started doing when I became a more serious programming developer. And it really, like, I got so much better with the advices I got from my mentors. So I really recommend you doing it as well. Maybe you have the possibility. If not, keep looking. There are like so many nice people on the internet who like to share their knowledge with you. And yeah, there's really no argument not doing it, not looking out for it. All right, so I think I'm out of my time. So I think I simply just jump. So there are 2 more slides, but I think this would take now a little bit too long. So I simply just jump to the conclusion that Flutter development will grow within the next 10 years enormously. You should master it, you should learn it, and you should love it sooner or later, hopefully, because it is an awesome platform, and it's really cool to write from to having a white sheet and filling it with your ideas. It's like, I love this. This is what I actually love about programming, and Flutter is giving you the tools to do so really fast. So yeah, try to learn it. All right, so this was it from my side. I hope I was able to give you some insights about Flutter, to tell you a little bit about my experience. Currently, as I already mentioned, I have an agency, app development agency here in Germany. We are some people, currently 3 people, trying to expand to increase our production. And yeah, in case you are doing good within your Flutter courses, and we see that you're putting in the extra effort, we would actually be happy to have a talk with you after you've completed your Flutter journey. And maybe you can start at our company or within Ami's company, depending. So yeah, this was it from my part. Thanks for your attention,